just a few minutes before actually the person in Dr. Nadkarni is in traffic jam. I want to tell you, if you have seen the new updates on the NCI website, it has entirely changed. What it was with us then, which was with Dr. Chandan, because Dr. Chandan is my student. So her generation and then now. So you just can go, because it is in March 2017 it has changed. And there is lot of emphasis is given on this extra topics like humanities, bioethics, then yoga, exercise, all these things. And if you see that 60 hours of first MBBS is devoted to this in the entire year, first semester and second semester. And this is basically why the need was there. Now you must have read in paper the incidents which occurred in Dhule. So we want to sensitize the medical students, residents from the beginning, that how you should approach to the patient, how you should calm, like if some emergencies come, what should you do, whose help you should take. Because this was a very bad incident and certain such incidences have occurred in past and we don't want anyone to suffer. So that is there. So you will have in second year, third year also now, because it is changed. And the curriculum is also going to change. Now we do not know whether that changing curriculum will be applicable to you in second or third year. That we just, right now we don't know. But yesterday only I had gone to the website and seen. So today we have a talk with arranged by humanities, this by Dr.Anand Nadkarni. Dr. Chandan will just give you what his personality, his biodata. By that time he will come. Right?
Thank you, madam. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Okay. So Dr.Anand Nadkarni, our speaker for today, he is our very own GS product. He completed his medical graduation from Mumbai and then earned MD post-graduation in psychiatry from Mumbai University, where he stood first in the university. He is in active psychiatric practice since last 3 decades. He is one of the person who has taken concept of mental health to almost every conceivable social strata and is working in so many diverse settings. He is busy in individual consultation on an average setting, seeing 40 clients a day in a non-stop 10-hour schedule. He is training top corporate executives on some days, touring across the country. He is mentoring young artists, athletes, players, singers to optimize their performances. He is addressing group of parents and teachers on a diverse topics. He is at a time taking training of an elite commando forces, and at other times he is teaching postgraduates in psychiatry and psychology. He has been a source of inspiration to many young mental health professionals across the country who have learned from him in a unique Gurukul style. He has pioneered Institute for Psychological Health known as IPH. It's a unique NGO where many mental health professionals work under one roof, and in addition to giving care to individuals, also operate number of support groups. Continuous education projects and services that range from full-fledged audiovisual unit to a telephonic helpline Maitra under the stewardship of Dr. Nadkarni. Unique community projects like Jidnyasa, that is adolescent sensitization, VED, that is vocational education, direction and harmony, are now organized in several cities of Maharashtra. Thousands of students and parents attend these events and train local volunteer groups to organize them. From the platform of Ved, he has interviewed more than 600 luminaries in the different fields. He has developed a unique style of facilitation. He is also an innovative event manager with a list of projects and activity designed with the rare blend of education and entertainment. At IPH, that is Institute for Psychological Health, Dr. Nadkarni leads a team of over 60 mental health professionals and 30 admin team members and over 100 trained volunteers. This makes IPH arguably the largest pool of mental health professionals in the country and in the voluntary sector. Dr. Nadkarni is also founder and trustee of Muktangan De-Addiction Center in Pune, a comprehensive rehab facility with over 200 inmates at a time and a staff of over 70 committed workers. He is also founder trustee of Swayam, a decade-young organization working for rehabilitation of spastic children. Dr. Nadkarni has written 17 award-winning books in Marathi, many of them in double-digit edition. Some of his books are translated in English as well as adopted in Braille language. While working with over 20 top industrial houses like Reliance, Siemens, Cipla, Bharat Petroleum, Dr. Nadkarni has a team also work as a corporate mentors for upcoming middle-level entrepreneurs in various fields. Similarly, IPH is also associated with reputed voluntary organizations such as Search in Gadchiroli, Pratham in Mumbai, and Sangat in Goa. His corporate experience was honored by Indoco Remedies, a leading pharma company, by appointing him on their board as a director. In addition to his literary contribution in the form of books, plays written by him are regularly performed on a professional Marathi stage and have won many awards. His recent award-winning plays is Tya ती घरची Gosht, Get Well Soon, has been a creative consultant to a national award-winning film Devrai and state award-winning film Kadachit. Plays written by him on recovery from addiction, Get Well Soon, on caregiving of schizophrenia patient ran successfully on a professional Marathi stage. With his study in Hindu philosophy, evolutionary psychology, world history, Indian history, world and Indian cinema, as well as literature, his conversation and presentations have a rare integration of many disciplines. He has developed an interesting series of talks and workshops on history of mental health. Many of his CDs, DVDs are available on different subjects. He has 3 albums published of inspiring songs written and composed by him focused on young students. These are plays in many educational institutes. Incidentally, the State Education Board of Maharashtra included one lesson written by him in 9th standard Marathi textbook. He has received numerous awards and prizes for his contributions in mental health, literature and dramatics, and the list is expanding every year. The list includes 2 state literature awards, a state award for his work in de-addiction, and one of his plays. He has been conferred the Thane Nagar Ratna as well as Thane Bhushan Puraskar in the city where he stays. For his role as a teacher to professionals and the society, he recently was given Samaj Shikshak Award as well as Vignan Dhaneshwar Award by prestigious institute. So, as you can see, the most illustrious work, and it spans over various facets, right from his writing, that is literature, dramas, his albums, right? And if you anytime happen to visit Thane and the IPS, that is Institute of Psychological Health, it's a very rewarding experience. I've done myself. I've done I have read many of his Marathi books, and they actually correlate to the practice, psychology and our day-to-day life. Thank you.
Hello. I am just here awaiting Dr. Nadkarni's arrival. Let me put it this way. In 1963, when I joined here, Dr.M.V.L.Kothari was my teacher. And when I became a teacher, Dr.Anand Nadkarni happens to be one of the students. In 1974, Dr.SUPE, Dr. Anand Nadkarni, all of them joined this institution. So Dr. Anand Nadkarni has sat like you there, and of course he has sat like that in theatre 2, 3, 4 and 5. 4 and 5 were not really well developed, so essentially we were utilizing theatre number 2 and 3, and here I welcome Dr. Anand.
Pointer.
Okay, namaskar, good afternoon. Sorry for being a bit late. Caught in unexpected traffic, as it happens in Mumbai. So, a very warm good afternoon. Anyway, the afternoon is very warm in Mumbai. It's a great privilege and honor to share my experiences with you. As you can see, the title of this presentation is CCD, College Campus Discoveries. And time to get some discoveries, since most of you, I suppose, are relatively new in the campus. So first year, second year? First year, all first year. So relatively very, very new. So time to get discoveries, and as you can see that this is not a presentation, this is a sharing. And this is a sharing of a ex-GSite. And as you can see, my batch is 76. So could be ages back. No, I am 2 years junior to Dr.SUPE. So I am with, see who is there? Abhay. I am from, they will know Abhay possibly next year. Or when they are with
Dr. Nadkarni.
Ha. So I am his classmate, and I am sure those claps were of respect. So, but I'll share with you something. His nickname. So don't call him by his nickname, but we used to call him Nattu. So everybody has got a nickname, right? So everybody had a nickname, and possibly some of the colleagues, you will meet some of my batchmates in the clinical side of it. Dr.SUPE was 2 years senior to me, but a very close friend, and I'll come to that a little later. Yes. Wow. I just took your name and right time. Great. We were talking about the batches, and this is my presentation, CCD, College Campus Discoveries. So, I'll be sharing with you all these discoveries. You know, I came off a vernacular medium, so I never was in an English medium school, and how that poses a problem at that time also. Just now also it could be a problematic for some of you. And I also did not come from Mumbai. Now at that time, Thane was not considered as Mumbai. Even today it is not. But then at that time, even the university was different. You know, that Mumbai University was limited to Mumbai, and Thane used to come in Pune University. And it was only at our batch or one batch before that we got the whole Konkan area got attached to Mumbai University. So we were quite lucky in that sense. And I remember when I came here for the first time in this building, and that was anatomy day, and theatre number 2 and 3. And the moment I entered, this is how I entered. This was the angle of my entry, and I remember it even today the way it was. The photograph is recent, but the angle is the same. And there we had Dr. Bhatnagar. Dr. Bhatnagar was taking the first lecture, and this was my actual entry point. And what is very interesting about that entry point is that I was late. It was the first time, then it became a habit, but so the lecture had already started, and Dr. Bhatnagar had impeccable English. To listen to his English was a great delight, and he was a great teacher, of course. So, you know, he had those piercing eyes. So when I entered from here, he was there, and with that white coat, I still remember that. And he looked at me, and then I said, "Arey pakde," you know, that the lecture is already started. But then he waved and he said, "Sit." So I sat on the last bench, and those areas I never left. So that was my entry, and all of you must have gone through that you start looking at, you know, people who are a little bit like you, and then the people who already have a group, they don't need anybody, right? But people who are, you know, alone, they will start looking at, you know, who are the people who can be approached and all that. I started doing all that, and then we had this for anatomy. We had this group of 4, which all of you must be having still, I suppose. Group of 4. So 5. So at our times it was 4. And those 4 people were 4 different entities, generally in all groups. So one of them generally was supposed to be a prospective surgeon. So he used to approach anatomy as if, you know, with that dream ke mujhe surgeon banna hai. One of the guys out of the 4 was generally a bookish fellow, so Cunningham. And this fellow reads and this fellow dissects. One person was a passive onlooker, like that. What are they doing? And then these 2 guys मेरे ऊपर तरस खाते थे. See, this is the nerve, this is the muscle. And then the 4th guy used to look there occasionally, and his attention was elsewhere where more interesting things were. So that was the distribution of force. Now very anecdote I would like to share with you. One day, I still remember it was abdomen, and we were dissecting abdomen, and with this kind of job distribution, it was going on. And one of those, that surgeon friend of mine, potential surgeon friend of mine, he was doing it tack, get the viscera here, do this, tack, with a lot of speed, because by that time it was our third or fourth part, so he had got those expertise. And suddenly there was a pat on his back. And then we saw Dr.M.V.L.Kothari. And Dr.M.V.L.Kothari was there, patting on his back, and said, Sir, Kothari sir had this very nice way of saying, boy, a little delicately, a little more delicately. So he looked at sir and he said, but sir, it's a cadaver. So sir looked at him with the same gentle smile, and sir said, if you do not respect the dead, how will you respect the living?
Yeah.
My first lesson. My first discovery. And that is how, my voyage of discovery started. And this voyage of discovery was actually led by people or teachers like Sir Dr. Kothari. I still remember, he used to tell us so many things. Anatomy and the rhythm of anatomy. The rhythm of anatomy is the rhythm that is given by nature to this body. And therefore every muscle, when it becomes alive with a rhythm. When the blood starts flowing, blood has a rhythm. That was fantastic. That was a totally different view of looking at anatomy. And what I remember, I'll share with you. He used to talk about painters, he used to talk about Michelangelo, sculptures. Sir had vast knowledge of so many domains of life. So, in anatomy, he used to tell us how Michelangelo studied anatomy and how Michelangelo was great because he could get the sense and the rhythm of human anatomy even in his sculptures. And therefore, how Michelangelo was a wonderful perfectionist, right? And I still remember, in that theatre number 2 and 3, the boards like this. And Sir told us a story that there was a friend of Michelangelo, and Michelangelo went to his house, and that friend was not there. So his wife told him that he's not there, and he had chalk in his hand. So on the door, he drew something, and afterwards the friend came, and without the wife telling the friend said, "Oh, had Michael come?" So she said, "How did you know?" So while waiting there, he had made some circles on the door frame with his chalk. And those circles were so perfect that the friend said that nobody could make this rhythmic circle in this town than Michelangelo. Now, this is not related to anatomy, right? But this is related to life. And these were the kind of discoveries with which we started. I share with you the biochemistry, physiology. We had a wonderful set of teachers, and we used to say that if you sit for the lectures and take down the notes, then there is no need to go through the books. But there are wonderful aspects of the teachers, which was very interesting. Dr. Dharani used to teach us serious. And what was very interesting was he had a tremendous storehouse of old classic Hindi songs. And what was very interesting from him was not to only learn physiology, but how C. Ramchandra composed things. In fact, in this very lecture hall later on, I interviewed C. Ramchandra. And for that, Dr. Dharani had helped me so much to get all those old songs on together. Those were the types of, cassettes. And we had that cassette tape recorder. And I had painstakingly, me and Dr. Dharani had painstakingly got down all the songs, and we were supposed to play those songs and then ask C. Ramchandra about the songs, and he was supposed to answer. And with my first song, He said, the quality of these cassettes is so bad. Stop it. So my whole next 10 questions went for a toss. Because what will I ask? You know. So here, it happened right here. And then I said, Abhi, you have to face it. Right? So I changed my interview right there and started asking him questions. And slowly he came in his mood. And then I suggested to him that, sir, I now really understand that those were recorded music, and recorded music has not got that kind of a liveliness. Will you sing for us? And from here he sang all his classics. Because by that time we had come in that kind of a mood, so all the old songs of Alvela and all those things he sang from here, which is quite another story. But this is what we studied, as discoveries from the teachers. And physiology notes, like a good student, but then whatever else you can take from your teachers. We had those teachers, and even today you have some of those teachers who are very interesting people. Then of course everybody starts discovering the campus, right? And I also started discovering the campus. And one of the things was, wow, there is no photograph here because all of you know it. And one of the first places that I discovered was Canteen. And Canteen is still that wonderful place. Whenever I come here, I go there even now. And slowly we got so pally with the Canteen Wala that even today this happens. So Canteen was a great thing because one used to always look forward to the moments in the canteen. And this corridor from that day till today is so vibrant, isn't it? So many things happen here, so many groups are formed, so many hearts are broken, and the same story continues even today, and it was the same story at that time. And it has never lost that aspect, this particular corridor. So corridor was very comforting, absolutely comforting for us. Now, what happened with me was a little peculiar. This is your entrance lobby of the hostel. Now, I was a grand junior, but I have polio problem with my foot. So, for us, the grand juniors used to get the Naiva hostel, which was there. Now, I suppose it is not there. It is under renovation. So, as an exception, I was given in my very first MBBS a shared room in the interns lobby. So, I was a grand junior in interns lobby. So, that is how my hostel life started over here. And that was done on this medical grounds because I don't have to travel from Naigaon to here. But that gave me a lot of exposure with the seniors. That is how I am so friendly with many of my seniors, because those people had come to the campus hostel here, and I was the only graduate. And I still remember in the TV room, we used to have only single TV in that TV room. And there was this wonderful, great, fantastic program called Chaya Geet. And that was the only channel, and every week people used to have those Bollywood songs, and everybody used to, it was a cultural gathering. So everybody used to come, and you have to take the seat, so you'll have your dinner and take the seat. I still remember one of my first encounters when I was the junior most. And all the people were senior. And then there was, of course, they found out that he is the junior most. And there was that impulse of all the seniors. Which is that impulse? So there was this impulse. So, one senior sat on this side, one senior sat on this side. And then I found out, this is something else, right? And they started asking me certain odd questions. The songs were played over there, and they started me asking odd questions on the song. And I said, I'll give factual answers. Whatever they are asking, I'll give factual answers. I started. This went on for 3-4 minutes. and then two of the interns who were the senior most. They were also saying, and they came to my rescue. And they rescued me. But then I said that this is a temporary rescue. What I need to do is I need to make friendship with each and everyone, because then I am reducing the chances of getting ranked. So I started that. By the time I finished my first term, there were people who would genuinely ask me to come and sit with them. So had I made an island of myself, I would have got further cut off from all that. So the discovery or the lesson is that whenever you get across to a problem, always think of alternatives, right? And some of them who were those people who wanted to rag me at that time became lifelong friends, right? So some of them, I still remember who was that, Mohan Chandavarkar. So he's a great friend. And now he's a gynecologist in Thailand, and we stay in the same area. So I got some lifelong friends from there. And this hostel, then I never left. I mean, I became intern also, again stayed in the same intern's lobby, the tower room. So for all those times, this hostel taught me a lot of lessons. First, that I could stay independently, right? Number two, that I could manage my finances. Number three, you have more options in hostel of eating than you have at home, which is wonderful. So there were many lessons, and at that time what used to happen, there all of us, the hostelites and even the non-Bombayites, everybody used to have an account in the Canara Bank. This Canara Bank across, I don't know whether it is still there, it is still there. So that Canara Bank, we used to have accounts, and the money was transferred by our parents into that account. So once or twice in a month, at least, you have to go to take out the money. And it was old times, no ATM, nothing, right? So you have to go there, but then it was that sense that I am handling my own money. So it was a great discovery to stay in this hostel. Then came, now I'll come to the discoveries and talk about things that is much better. So discovery number one, which I have already shared with you, networking works the best. Whenever you are here and you feel isolated, start networking. 10 years, in 86 when I left this campus, I knew almost every person, right from a ward boy, the IFIs, the nurses, the technicians, the interns, the seniors and the juniors. And that is possibly the most important thing that you carry in your life, because this networking never leaves you. And many of your seniors, juniors, you meet them wherever, and everybody is so helpful there. So it's very important. In Gujarati, there is a word called Olkhan Jevi Khan Nathi. So Olkhan Jevi Khan Nathi. The more networking you will do, you will get into that mine of human relationships, and those relationships will help you to a very great extent. If you focus only on exam, studies, then you will never work on this networking. And with the help of some of my teachers also, Dr.SUPE will also agree with me, we got exposed to so many people from outside that helped us in our networking. As interns at that time, or as residents when we were working, we came across people from all areas of life. That time, these 5-star private hospitals were not there. So people and the luminaries from each walk of life used to come to KEM. So that helped us in a lot of networking at that time, right from the clinical time to residency and thereafter. And this is something that we as medical professionals should start doing, because when you are in practice, this is the same networking that will help you. And that approach of networking, reaching out to people, create bonding. What happened was that when I became a resident and then a lecturer, at that time almost every person, the security person, The class 4th wala used to say, कि अरे इसके पास मैं केस लेके जाता हूँ. That is the advantage. That right from the professors to the security man, you are networking with everybody. I still remember there was Dr. Ursekar, who was a very great ophthalmic surgeon, head of the department here. And as I got routinely involved in a lot of activities over here, especially of the Marathi Vankmay Mandal, we used to go to all these honoraries to collect funds. And most of them knew that when they see me, I have come for money. So at least there is some drama, there is one act play competition, there is Marathi Vankmay Mandal, something. So they always knew that. So Dr. Ursekar was in his operation theatre. He came out, he was in the operation, on that gown and all that. And his trousers and shirt was it was hung over there. So when he saw, he said, in Marathi, he said, "जा, पाकिट काढ, जेवढे आहेत तेवढे तुझे." So it means that go there, take out my wallet, and whatever cash is there, you take it. He never asked me for what I wanted. That was the trust. That was the trust that if Anand has come and he is asking for money, he is doing that for some good purpose. And these are the benefits of networking, and that is why focus on that. Because if you develop all these bondings, that is something that will help you in your practice in whichever setting you are in future. Develop that attitude to reach out to people, go to people, form bondings. That attitude will help you further. This is a very, very important discovery. Every crush and every crash teaches you a lesson. Yeah, most important discovery. Now, I'll talk about both. First about the crush and then about the crash. What happens in general, which is the best time to form a crush, I'll tell you, when your grand juniors come. Yes. Beware of that. That is the time when you are senior enough, and then there is somebody junior. So naturally, दो दोरे डालने शुरू हो जाते हैं. And it happened with me. It happened with many of us. And what is very important is, in friendships, relationships, falling in love, I have seen in my vast experience, the things go in two ways. And what is the healthy way and what is the non-healthy way, I will describe it. There is a healthy way where this kind of friendship, boyfriend, girlfriend, falling in love, it is of mutual benefit in achieving the primary goal as well. If it is going that way, wonderful. If it is going that way, it is fine. Just ask your mind, is the relationship helping me focus on my primary goal, or it is getting me distracted from my primary goal? That is a very, very important point. That if that relationship is helping me to focus, it is giving me energy for my academic goal, fine, go ahead. Right? Wonderful examples are there, including Dr.SUPE. So that is something which is there, and look at that part now. See, that is Pathology Museum. And that katta. These are very historical kattas. Whenever you are steady, people sit there, and hardly any single person sits there. That girl who is sitting there does not know the historical relevance of the place. But the historical relevance of that place is that generally it is pairs. And generally when they get into pairs, then that was the katta. Right? So you are most welcome to follow that tradition, but provided this is something that I learned out of the crushes, right? That look at that relationship, see how it is helping you. It is energetic, it gives you energy, gives you motivation. Rather than sapping your energy and motivation, then rethink about it. The crash happened with me in third MBBS, not in first MBBS, but in third MBBS. My third MBBS, I had settled in this college wonderfully well. I was the general secretary, GS of this college. Then, so a lot of activities were going on. And at our times for third MBBS, there were 3 subjects: medicine, surgery, and gynae. Only 3 subjects were there. That major minor had not come at that time. So I was good in medicine, and by that time I had decided that I will do my post-graduation in psychiatry. So I was pretty certain and sure about what I am going to do. Now, so medicine I was quite well prepared. Surgery and gynae also I was averagely prepared. And in surgery I was the least prepared. But thanks to Dr. Ravi, who used to take special clinics for people like us who were involved in extracurricular activities for most of their time. And Dr. Bapat used to start those clinics in the surgery department room of his at 10 o'clock at night and would end it at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. And he would take it for us for 8 to 10 days. And it was completely focused on passing third MBBS surgery. Because for the people who were very nice in surgery, like Mukund Thatte, Raju Parolkar, all these people, for them there used to be different clinics. Because those were the toppers, we were not the toppers, but we wanted to pass surgery. And sir knew very correctly that which group needs what inputs. So he used to tell us that suppose you get this short case, say hernia or hydrocele, the 6 questions that would be asked, and what are the answers? If you are asked the 7th and the 8th, then they are above the line, which means you have passed. And then if you want to score, then you attempt that, but otherwise you have passed. So this was his way of teaching us. Anyway, so I was good in medicine, and the practical examination came in KM itself. And I remember it was in Ward 4. So Ward 4 was converted into my examination room. And my long case was, most of you have to do your clinical terms, but it was MSMI. So MSMI was cardio serious case and cracking case. MSMI you can't miss, and it's quite easy clinically to diagnose and do that. So I became, from confident, I became a little overconfident. And I'm sharing my lessons, so I have to be frank, right? So now a lady examiner came for the senior lady examiner from Sion Hospital. She came, and I was in my masti now. 60 marks का long case है. अपन ने first class किया है. Third. I went through the history examination, this, that. I even forgot to look for her feedback. And then when I looked at her, I suddenly realized that this lady is looking at me with a piercing gaze. And I stopped. And then she said, "Doctor, you knew the diagnosis beforehand." This was not the case, but her doubt was that since he is a KM student and the supervisors and everybody is from KM, they must have given him the diagnosis and the case, and possibly previous night this fellow has examined the case and now he is rattling out all the details, which was actually not the case. But look how I did a mammoth miscommunication. I told her, "Madam, even if we take it for the sake of debate that I knew the diagnosis, you can ask me any question and I will respond to it." Wrong words, wrong time, wrong place, wrong person, everything was wrong about that communication. And she continued to look at me in the same gaze and said, "Okay." And she never asked me a question after that. I came to know that out of 60, she had given me 6. Now, as luck would have it, I got her for a table also.
40 marks का table, and she gave me 4. So out of 200 marks, in 100 marks I got 10. And the remaining 100, when this examiner was not there, I got 79. Now 79 plus 10 makes 89. Passing was at 100, and had I got 90, university used to give 10 grace marks. So I was at 89, and that is how the crash happened. So a person who is having wonderful career is not only respected for the scholastics, etc., but also loved by many people. And the one who thinks this is my campus, ये सब है, अचानक से क्रैश हो। And यहाँ पे आगे वाला जो है ना, वहाँ पे नोटिस बोर्ड पे सब लगते थे नंबर्स, और नेटवर्क तो था नहीं, तो वैसे ही नंबर्स लगते थे। तो मैं गया देखने के लिए, अपना नंबर नहीं है। So I failed in such an important exam as third MBBS. So you can imagine how it would have been. A great mix of many negative emotions. And I went to the hostel, and we had those coin wala, 8 ana wala phones, because the phones were also not very much in vogue. But in my home there was a telephone. So I called up my father, and I said that, Father, my number is not in the list. Fail. ये शब्द बोलने को भी ये नहीं था ना, my number is not in the list. My father was a very mature person. He said, okay, please come back as early as possible. Now that was a problem. I could not go home, and I could not stay in the campus, right? Because by that time the people who had passed very well were rejoicing, and also people were coming to me, at that point now you don't want that, you are very angry with that kind of a pity which I was, right? Then I said, now better go home, because this is more difficult to handle, and people are having parties, planning the party and everything. Chalo. Walked to Elphinstone Road, got into the local train to go to Thane. Thought many times कि दरवाजे में खड़े रह के, then what will happen if I jump? Could not muster enough courage. So reached Thane, came home, and my father opened the door. I looked through him, and I went to my room and sat there very numb. My father came and sat by me, and when he put his hand across my shoulders, I started crying. When I started crying, he was very empathic. He was there with me. He only touched me, only supported and consoled me. And when I was a little better, a shade better, he said, let's try to understand what has happened. I said, Dad, my career is gone. My reputation is gone. Everything is as black as ever. There is no way that I can now shape my future at all. So my father said in a very soft tone, this is the way you are looking at it now. Then I asked him, is there any other way to look at it? He said, yes, there is, which is more factual and more reality based. I said, what it is? I looked at him. He said, please understand, you have failed in one part of one examination of one subject in one attempt. As the words sank in, I realized that yes, this was the reality. I had failed in medicine practicals. In the rest of all the things I had actually passed. थोड़ा सा consolation मिला, but came another surge. And I said that all your dreams I have shattered. This was because in my family I was the first medical doctor. My father was a professor of chemistry, and the point at which I was to appear for my third MBBS, he was going to retire from his college. So many times he used to say that it's so nice, I'm the youngest of the siblings, so he used to say that it's so nice that when I am going to retire, you are going to be a doctor. You know, that started hitting me inside, that I have shattered the dreams of my father. And then I said, Father, I have shattered your dreams. Again a search. He again waited patiently, and as I started gathering myself, he said, son, I know how devastated you are feeling. And I know that you will gather from here and you will do better. And you will even have the taste of success. And on that day, I would be more happy than you. But please remember one thing. Whether you are successful or not, whether you pass or fail, you are always going to be my dear son. I can tell you, even now, so many years have passed, but the impact of that sentence has not diminished. That was a great discovery for me, that here is somebody who is accepting you so unconditionally, who is accepting you only of unflinching love, affection, without any rider of expectation. It's on you, the onus is on you to prove yourself. Most important discovery. And I slowly got into a resolve. A lot of things happened thereafter, because of course I had to appear after 6 months. So now what to do? So get back to hostel, because I had failed in practicals. So wards should be closed. So I applied for the hostel. Then the hostel authority said, for casual batch, no hostel. But in every hostel there is this wonderful thing called parasites. So now I came back to the interns lobby as a parasite, because my classmates had become interns. Second visit. And the third visit was when I was an intern. So I would probably be one of the few people, or possibly the only one, who has stayed in the intern lobby at 3 separate instances. So now see how it was difficult. At our time there was no PGCET. So internship was dhamal. So everybody used to have dhamal barring me. So सब लोग दोपहर को आएंगे, पत्ते खेलेंगे, पिक्चर जाना है, this, that, होटल जाना है, medicine. Then I said, okay, I have to stand it. So I started studying. Now you don't get, the parasites don't get furniture, na? So you are literally grounded with your bed. So all that started. Second time theory went off very well. And then came the practical. Now this time it was in science, and then I suddenly realized that all examiners have 2 turns. So now tomorrow. Now in the first instance my father helped me. This was the instance where I had to help myself. So I said that, look, how many people have failed? Now I had appeared for KL, and I had seen that more than 100 people, they were there with me, which means that I was not alone. Now, there are chances that she would recognize me, but if I do not make myself prominent and look, talk like an absolutely average person and give only the answers to the question that is asked without doing the mistakes, then at least I am less likely to attract her attention. Correct? फिर मैं 100 में से 1 हो जाऊंगा ना, तो उतना तो मैं कर सकता हूँ. That is a factor which is within my control. So I said, हाँ, फिर भी यहाँ शुरू धड़ panic. I hardly slept, but I was preparing myself that this is how I will be. My goal is not to make myself conspicuous and only respond to the given question. And there was not a problem about my preparation, and now I had about 6 months, so I had prepared better. Only thing was my emotions were different. At that time I was super confident, now I was cautious. Right? I was concerned. Next day morning, 8:30, Sai Hospital. And waiting, Madam kab aati hai, right? And almost 9 o'clock, and the supervisor says, Madam has got a viral fever. Viral fever. And wow. Then I said, okay, now if you have learned the lesson, then the lesson is that examiner does not matter. Whoever is the examiner, you will keep on responding to the question asked. And you know what happened was that we got the examiner from our college actually. But by that time I was settled, right? And I went through that examination very well. In fact, I got a distinction and I came first in medicine in that batch. Now, when I did that, then everybody started coming. देखा लिया ना सबको? हाँ, तेरे को फेल किया था. हाँ, अब तो देख, तेरे को distinction मिल गया. Another chance for me to become again overconfident, but I had learned my lesson that my father had taught me, and then I told myself, you have come first in one subject, in one examination of all the people that appear. So that is the discovery. And this discovery has been there with me, my friends, for all these years. It has been so important to learn from that crash. So, number 3, very important again. We all have an urge for experimentation with chemicals, right? Some people want to smoke, some people want to have alcohol, so many things. Are not the healthy, the unhealthy experiences. Let's say that healthy experiences and unhealthy experiences. Now what is the point? Experiment but with caution. Every experience, review it. And if you feel that it is going to prove unhealthy, then it is time to say no. I'll share one of mine. Just across this food park was Chandu Panwala. The Panwala is still there. So the Chandu Panwala was there, and all the people after food, many of them used to go there to have a party. And some people in my group used to eat tobacco pan. So 120, 300. And I also went with them. I had never touched tobacco in my life. So I went with them. अरे लेके तो देख. तो कैसा खाने का मालूम नहीं. सब खाते अपन दिखाने का. So I got my first tobacco wala pan. And people said 120 नहीं 120 नहीं इसको 300 दे दो क्या. So whatever it was. So I kept that, and I had never eaten tobacco wala pan. Normal masala pan I had eaten. So generally normal masala pan, what you do, whatever is the juice that you gulp in. Here I did that mistake of gulping that tobacco wala, and it was solid. Hiccups, complete gastritis like thing, and the first experience was so bad. I reviewed it and I said, this is not going to be pleasurable for you. This is an unhealthy experience, not to repeat. And I have stood by my decision for all these years. So do experiment, but review every experiment. What is the long-term price and what is the short-term price? What is the long-term goal and what is the short-term goal? Many times there are attractions that give us short-term pleasure. And after those short-term pleasures, they could deviate us from our long-term goals. So that is something which we need to keep in mind. I was in dramatics. So in dramatics, after drama, smoking. So, बहुत creative people smoke. That is a misbelief. Right? And then sit and smoke, sit and smoke. Another point where I decided that look, I am not going to smoke because this was a little late but in residency itself, when I started psychiatry, I told myself that your voice is going to be your forte. Because you are a psychiatrist, the way you are going to talk is going to be very, very important. And that is why you need to protect your voice. And I was not smoking too much, but whatever social smoking I had, I said I have to stop it now. Because that is something which will not help me in my long-term goal. For me, my voice is an asset. And if my voice is an asset, the responsibility of protecting my asset squarely lies on me. And when I stopped smoking, again I have not smoked thereafter. But that is the point why I am sharing this with you, is all these moments may come in your life. And at every point you may have to weigh these, the short term and the long term. And the pleasure, which is long term, is very important. And if I want to have a short term pleasure, there are many healthy ways to have short term pleasure. Going on a trek, going on a hike is a healthy short term pleasure, and it will also work positively on your health, so it will help you in your long term goal also. So always decide that part while you are experimenting with anything. That's a very important discovery for me. Focus on learning beyond books. Everybody learns books. I also did, right? And I reasonably passed till only without that crash part of it. I reasonably passed. But what I learned in this campus was much more than books. Discovering people, discovering yourself. As I told you, I had come here from Marathi medium. I hardly knew how to communicate in English. And we had in our clinical batches and everywhere people who were so fluent in English. And at that time G.S.MEDICAL had, I don't know, it still will have wonderful tradition of elocution. So here Dr. Rajesh Parekh, Dr. Rupin Shah, so many of them were there who were great. I used to listen to them sitting here, and these were my seniors, 2 years, 3 years, and what a way to communicate. So these were kind of my idols, and I used to ask myself, "Tumhe kab aayega inke jaise bolne ke liye?" And I was diffident. I was diffident because I had voracious reading of Marathi, but I had never ventured into English reading. Then I took it on myself, this was somewhere in secondary days, that I need to work on my English language, and for that I need to work on my English reading. So, hardly any money, but on the footpath, they used books, and at Flora Fountain even today, you get books, at throwaway prices, and they were there at that time also. So I started first my English reading with all spy books. That is because easy to read, and you can develop your speed of reading. But what I did was that slowly as I gathered my speed, I went on to different varieties of books. And as a result of that, slowly, I started gathering the capital of words and the capital of phrases. Now what was more important was that you need to practice what you have learned. So then, in all the clinical meetings, clinics, whenever you get a chance to talk, I started venturing. And I discovered that I was not ridiculed much. It was only my fear that I would get ridiculed. As a result of that, by internship and thereafter, I had gone into reasonable confidence that I can converse and communicate in English, which to me is a great discovery. Because many times we take something that I will not ever be good in it, I will not ever be good in it, and we stop working on it. If we have a plan and if we start working on it, there are many things beyond the books that we can definitely learn. This is a very important point. A more evolved individual automatically becomes a better doctor. You know, all of you are academically brilliant, and that's why you are here in this campus. And you will definitely get good marks. But you want to be a better individual and a better doctor. And for that, a very important point would be, one, getting over the conflicts and complexes which I discussed with you. And the second will be the soft skills, the networking. That will make you better individuals, better doctors. In our medicine, there are two schools of thought. One is called the biomedical school of thought, that looks at patient as a system, almost a machine, and the role of the medical person as a technician. And there is another school that is called the biopsychosocial school, the more holistic way of looking at health, that you are not treating the symptoms, but you are trying to heal the individual. That is a very important point. Generally, the academics will teach you the biomedical stuff, but try to go beyond that. Very fortunately for me, I got it very early in my career with Dr.M.V.L.Kothari, Dr. Lopa, who were actually instrumental in taking me from the biomedical to the biopsychosocial way. And in fact, I'll share with you, my first book was published when I was an intern. And it was on medicine, on the model of medicine. And for that study, at that time there were no nets. So we had only the library and the library of Dr. Kothari and Dr. Lopa. So they generously used to give me all the books, all the reference material, from which I wrote my first book called Vaidyak Satta. And that particular insight gave me an insight to look at medicine. So these are opportunities around you. I am sure all of you will be doing academically very well. But the point is, focus on being a better individual and a better doctor. So that is something which will be a very important point. And this is a very, very important discovery. Medical career is not equal to my life. It is a very important and integral part of my life. In my opinion, this is the key to stand the competition. And in GS, I need to talk about competition. Because most of you who come to this institution have been toppers in their respective institutions. And all of you come here with a single dream of being a wonderful doctor. And that's a great dream to have. But please remember that this career is never going to be equal to your life. It's a very important and integral part of your life. You are working for it. Because if you take it as equal to your life, all your efforts will be focused on passing the exam, getting the marks, and not on being a better doctor and a more empowered individual. So there are many forces around us, the expectations that tell us that look, you have to be like this, you have to be like that, you have to be like that. And then what happens? Slowly it becomes our life. Slowly it becomes our life. It's a very, very important and integral but part of your life. Your life is much bigger than your career. Career is one part. There would be moments in your life, possibly before exams, or when you secure less or more marks, that you will take medical career as your life. No. It's a very important and integral part, but yet a part. And you have chosen it. This is your choice. Right? You have chosen this. You have chosen this not only for name, fame and money, but you have chosen this because you wanted to do this. And if you wanted to do this, it's very important to do it elegantly, my friends. And if you want to do it elegantly, then look at a life much bigger than only one career. That will help you to integrate your career with your life and life with your career. but very importantly, it will help you to stand the competition, and it will help you not to rate yourself wherever you stand in the academic competition. Not rating is what I learned from my father. Not rating self is what I learned from my teachers. And that is something which is very important. Your self-worth is beyond all success and all failures. All of us always carry if I want to give you a metaphor, a currency note in our pocket. That currency note is of our self-worth. And what we do? We change the denominations. I got admission in G.S.MEDICAL. Oh, this note is now 2,000 rupees. Right? I failed. Oh, 500 rupees. I failed miserably, 50 rupees. We changed the currency. But the reality is that this note that is there here, everywhere in our body, the note of self-worth has only one denominator, and that's called infinity. Only one denominator, infinity. So don't count something that can't be counted. Your self-worth is beyond all rating. With failure or with success, if you rate it 100, 2,000, even 1 million, still infinity is more than a million. You have come here with that note of self-worth. When you will go out, see to it that the mark of infinity is still very, very prominent. All the best.
Really mesmerizing, knowing Anand for so many years now, and I must have spent so much of time with him on the corridors, and as he rightly said, looking at the grand juniors from there to really going across and learning so many things with him. I think it is really mesmerizing path and journey. I knew many things about him which I did not know, but most important what he told us are lots of points which we have not only experienced, but we can carry forward throughout our life. I think an excellent talk. Anand, thank you very much for coming, and it's always pleasure to listen to you. I think we should record it, put it somewhere on the YouTube, as well as I think we should put for all our students to really go through on the Facebook. So I think this will definitely reach to many more, and it's a pleasurable kind of an experience. Thank you very much. Yes, please. Don't be so afraid.
Anyone wants to talk?
Question,
Question.
Or express.
Yeah.
Hello.
That is a better idea. Express. If you want to express, later on the email is there. So you can even drop an email. Our site is there of the institute, so you can visit the site as well.
Come on, I'm sure all some of you come along.
Yes. Any hand going up? Everybody is waiting. Who will ask first? Somebody has to start. Yes. Tell me your name first.
My name is Chitra Varikar. So actually, what you said about everything, I think we relate to it on every level, and we part where you crashed, where we consider our career or our education to be everything for us. Life is much more, and even my father is very mature and very understanding, just like your father, and his constant support gives me a lot of hope. So I know that even if I do fail, I have him with me, and whatever you said makes me just realize how blessed I am to have him with me. And it was, it's like all of this, we know all of this, but we keep it at the back of our mind and don't think about it.
Right.
But because you were here, you again pressed on it, and it made us rethink.
Sure.
And it's very important because we all deal with immense amount of stress in every field.
Thank
So
you.
I just want to thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
One point I really like, the way you said they can learn. Many students are from interior Maharashtra. So I personally, I felt really good when you said you can learn English, you can improve yourself. I really like that point. Thank you, sir.
Yes, yes.
Sir, I would just like to say you were talking about competition, sir, that we were always told that when you come to GS, you would see a lot of competition and like we get in the rat race. But when we actually came, we didn't see as much of that, so I would like to
Wow, that's great. If you have not seen the rat race here, crazy. That is lovely. Because more seriously responding to what you said, whether you want to become a part of that competition or not is always a choice in front of you. You know? So there are people who may not want to be or may not wish to be a part of that. And that happens. That happens in every batch. In every batch, there are some people who are more driven and they are very competitive in the narrow sense of it. In every batch, there are some people who are absolutely non-competitive. Right? They are absolute ranchos, you know, from the 3 Idiots. So they are absolutely non-competitive. And there are most of us who are in between, you know. And then what happens? We get sometimes influenced by the competitive, combative lot, and we sometimes get influenced by the other lot, right? And there are good things to be taken from both of them, right? If you ask me what's the balance is to take the right things from both of them. So if you take that, then you can have your own path in the middle, right? For example, in my case, my path in the middle was that I would like to take part or contribute effectively in as many areas as possible and try to be a better individual. My personality should be better. Along with that, my academics shouldn't suffer. Right? So I made my choice that I would never be in the top ranking people, but I would never be in the last people as well. So, and another point, that whatever could be the essence of the subject, that I will try to grasp. Right? I may be here and there in terms of getting that 8th or 9th question above the line. Right? That I may not know, but I will not make at least a basic mistake that will be at the cost of the essence of what I am studying. So that was the kind of balance that I made. So you need to take from everybody. You know, all the people in your class have something to contribute. It's up to you what to take from whom. Yes?
I also realize that especially college years where you get so many opportunities.
Yeah.
I personally tend to get lost doing a lot of stuff multitasking.
Yeah.
Yes, many times doing a lot of things at the same time.
Yeah.
I think what you said about concentrating on the main goal.
Yes.
It has to be there throughout. My dad, he's also a doctor. He always keeps telling me
Yeah.
I think we are trying to concentrate on.
Yes, and what is important is what are the complementary things now. Those complementary things you can add to your principal goal. Right? And also how your perspective is important. I'll just share this with you, this is interesting. I was actually interviewing one GSI only 4 or 5 months back, Dr. Rajendra, who is an MBBS from our institute and who is now a IAS. So I was talking to him and he was staying in this very hostel, you know about him? He's one guy from this institute who is now IAS, and he comes from the tribal family, the Bhilla family. And a very interesting person. I actually interviewed him on a public platform. And one thing that he talked about, the attitude and the goal, is very interesting. So I'll just share that with all of you. He was staying in the hostel and he had cracked the CET in the open merit, getting 293 out of 300 and got admission in G.S.MEDICAL college. So he was staying in this hostel here, and he had scholarships and all that, but his mother used to send him money for food. He had lost his father when he had not even born, so when his mother was pregnant. So it's a long story. So his mother was able to give him a tiffin for 2 times. And then he said that I used to come down to the canteen and I used to have 1.5 liter of water as breakfast. Now, when he said that, the audience in front was suddenly stunned. So that was the reaction. So then he said, "Don't pity me. That was a conscious decision. And I never compared myself with anybody. And I would have my classmates, somebody drinking Coke, somebody drinking coffee, somebody drinking tea, and I was very confidently drinking water." So, that is that goal-related thing. And when you make that choice, then all the obstacles, and then, after listening to people like this, we start feeling, these are the kind of obstacles that people faced, right here in this campus. And Rajendra's case is also very interesting because then after 3.5, 4 years, he was adjudged as one of the best all-round students of this college. Sometimes you should call him for this. He's a very nice...
He was the contact. He was the contact.
Yeah, I'll give the contact. He's now the SDO at there. He's a very inspiring fellow, and again, he's a fellow GSI. When we met, I did not know he was a fellow GSI. But then I started studying about him, then we started talking on phone, then you are a GSI, I am a GSI. So that cord is always there. Now that cord is between you and me and it will remain, you see. Okay, right. Okay, thank you very much. All the best.
Very inspiring pearls of wisdom. I'm sure that they will have a short-term and a long-term impact. It was very impactful. I could relate myself. Thank you, our director, SUPE sir, for gracing the occasion. Thank you, Loka Mehta madam, Sheni madam, MLT support staff, and the most important audience. Thank you so much.